2 days after that 911 call, a 24-hour restraining order had expired. Jared Remy went to the apartment he shared with Jennifer Martell. Minutes after she changed her Facebook status to complicated, Jared stabbed Jennifer to death in front of their 4-year-old child. Sam, what else do we know about this guy?
Gosh, well, it's a high-profile case because Jared is Jerry Remy's son, who was the celebrated, loved infielder of the Boston Red Sox, turned broadcaster. Now, according to the police report, he has a criminal history that dates back to March of 2000 when he was caught in possession of a hypodermic needle. Also, he has a history of abuse against women. Since the age of 17, he has abused five of his girlfriends, and guess what? Each time he repeatedly got away with it, just a little bit more than probation. Sounds appropriate.
So this is a very different case than we've been discussing, right, Andrea? And this is not about the Facebook status being changed. This is about medication and needles. That's probably steroids he was using back then. And he's aggressive, and this is very, very different. Would you agree?
Absolutely. This is one of the cases where law enforcement, unfortunately, is completely misaligned with what we know about community research and mental health, because this guy meets all the criteria of having predictors of intimate partner violence and murdering this poor woman. It's incredibly tragic.
Leanne.
Dr. Drew, we're talking, this goes way back. When you say violence against his girlfriends, let's talk about this. He beat up a girl that had his young baby in her arms. He beat her up. He waited for her in the dark with a baseball bat. This is a continued cycle of violence over and over again. And 20 times he was taken to court as a defendant, and every single time he got away with it.
You're right.
And his dad hired all the high-profile, high-money attorneys, and every single time he got away with it. And one time his dad said, you know, is there a way for us to maybe make him, you know, feel like if he does this again, then there might be some consequences? It never happened. And it happened that he murdered a girl, the father of, you know, the mother of his child again. And what can you do? This kid was an entitled little prick who had his dad in his back pocket. He never worked. He didn't have anything. And all he did was take drugs and steroids and was able to do whatever he wanted and always got away with it.
Yeah, but Mark, all he did was take drugs and steroids. She's right. This is a story of addiction. This is a story of roid rage. This is a story of domestic violence. It's interesting that these kinds of cases, which I see all the time, don't foster discussions about misogyny. This is much more about the misogynistic attitude some guys maintain. But is it appropriate for him to use his drug and steroid use as any sort of defense?
Well, it would have been, but he chose not to. To me, the most bizarre part of this story is this guy who, at a minimum, has extraordinary defects in character, at a maximum, violence towards women, drug use, all of a sudden said, I'm going to say I'm guilty and I'll get life without parole. With nothing. I mean, it's not like they took the death penalty off the table. So what happened was maybe after the detox, after he's no longer on all this stuff, the steroids maybe are no longer affecting him, he had some clarity and realized what a monster he had become and what his behavior was. That's the only explanation for why he just said, I'm guilty, I'll take life.